Hi everyone, thank you for watching. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about something that has been huge all along my life path and my spiritual journey, and that topic is surrender. So I'm going to start with a little bit of a story on how I got to be an intuitive and psychic. You know, there's many different labels you can call it, but I'm going to talk about how I got to this point that I am today. So I was an accountant prior to this current journey that I'm on. I was an accountant for several years, and I didn't hate being an accountant, but it wasn't something that I was passionate about. It was just something that I kind of made myself content with. Like, I went to school for it. I had a family member that was involved in accounting, so I was like, logically, this makes sense. Since I don't know what else to do right now, I'm going to go with accounting. And granted, there were points along this whole path where I was an accountant that I explored other ideas, and I had other businesses that I started, but I never really completed them. So in 2021, I was at my accounting job. I was actually working from home, and I just got to a point where I was like, I don't feel like doing this client work. I don't feel like doing these taxes. I don't feel like doing bookkeeping anymore. And I just got really disinterested and unmotivated when it came to doing my work. So I kind of was slacking. And I felt like this before, where I know like I need to find something else to go into because things are going to start getting really uncomfortable. And this is a sign for me usually that the universe is calling me forth to something else. I always know it. I can always feel it because I start to get uncomfortable. I start to get unmotivated with what I'm currently doing. And there's times in the past where I stuck it out and just like kind of forced myself through it. Like, no, just keep doing what you're doing. And as I grew older and as I learned, I was like, no, you just have to follow where your soul is calling you to. So going back to the story, in 2021, around February, I had been watching tarot readers online for a few months, just doing readings for various zodiac signs, and I just found it interesting because a lot of what was being said resonated for me. And so I was watching these videos, and I was like, oh, I wonder how they do that. I wonder why some people can do this and why others can't. And at that time, I didn't know it was even an ability that, I would have. So one day I decided to buy a tarot deck. I think this is around January of 2021. And I instantly became obsessed with trying to do tarot readings. I was literally in my room 6-7 hours a day sometimes, just asking questions. And I didn't know what the cards meant at that time. I didn't know what the meanings were, or like how even to put things together. I was looking things up online sometimes. I was sometimes just going with just trusting what was coming through. And I could see that I was getting answers, but I just wasn't sure what it all meant. So I kept doing this for a while, and I had this spontaneous idea that I was going to quit my accounting job and become a tarot reader. So this seemed really far out there, and I was excited about it. It just felt really right, even though I hadn't fully learned how to do the tarot readings, even though I didn't know how it all come together. It just made so much sense to me in a way that I can't even explain still. It's just like, it's that pull of the universe, it's that calling of my soul's path, of my highest self, and I just knew it was right. So there was a psychic reader that I spoke with, and I had talked to her about this, and she immediately saw, I see you becoming a tarot reader, I see you working for a network with a K initial. And so I immediately started applying to all these different psychic networks, and the only one that got back to me and responded was the one with the K initial, and that became my job. So I was contracted with this network, and I have been doing that to this day. So it was really amazing. And the part where surrender came in with all of this was I literally put my 2 weeks notice in at my job. I only had a couple $1,000 in savings at that time, and I really didn't know how I was going to make things work. But just something in me told me to trust in the process, trust in alignment, trust in what I'm feeling pulled to. So I just let go. And I basically let God, or let my higher self, let the universe, whatever you want to call it, I just surrendered to it. I was worried about how am I going to buy food? How am I going to pay my rent? I only have, a certain amount of savings here. How am I going to make this last this amount of time? But I just started taking steps, and the way things unfolded was just in such, what I feel was such a miraculous way, that I cannot say it's anything else but God or the universe, the higher self, a higher power, something bigger than myself. So surrender to me always is about just letting go of needing to figure things out for yourself, letting go of needing to analyze, letting go of needing something to be logical or needing for it to make sense, letting go of other people's opinions, of what they may think. At that time, I didn't even tell anyone. I don't think I told my family until about a month or two into doing this, just because I didn't want any negative opinions coming in there and just making me feel less excited. I was still going to do what I was going to do regardless, but sometimes if you share something with somebody, they can say things, and even though you're still going to continue what you're doing, it still has this negative effect. It still causes some shifts in your energy where you may not be feeling as motivated as you initially were. So I wanted to avoid all that. When I finally did tell them, of course, they thought it was crazy. And I was just like, I'm going to continue to do this in spite of all that. So that's where I am today. I just want to share some tips with you guys on surrender and what I feel like it is, and what that looks like when you're being called to surrender. So surrender is all about not needing to know. It's about not needing to know, not needing to be in control. As human beings, we like to know what's happening. We like to know what the next step is. We like to plan. We like things to make sense, to be logical. But with surrender, it's like the universe. Imagine there's a rope. The universe, your higher self, the higher power, God, whatever you want to call it, is on the other end. And they're gently pulling you on this rope, and you're on the other side, and you're not in surrender mode, but you're digging your feet in. You're literally getting in your own way of going forward when you're being guided. You're being guided by this rope. They're literally pulling you in the direction that you need to go, where everything has been figured out. And most times, this is something that we've asked for. We've asked, in my circumstance, I had manifested this. I want a job that I want to be able to work doing my passion from anywhere in the world. That was my manifestation. So, this time I did commend myself. I did a really good job with surrender, but there's other times where I find it really difficult when it's not as clear, where I don't feel it as strongly. But so going back to what I was saying, it's like the universe on the other side pulling you in the direction, and you're digging your feet in, being like, is this direction I'm supposed to going? Is this the direction I'm supposed to be going? But what about this person? But what about this money? What about this job? You're just questioning things as you're already being guided in the direction that you're supposed to go. So if you just let go, if you stop digging your feet in, if you just allow yourself to be guided, everything that you're wanting to know, you're going to have the answer to. And it may not be all at once, but it's about trusting in that process and trusting that as you get to this milestone, the next answer is going to appear. And as you get to the next milestone, the next path is going to unfold. It's just trusting in the unfoldment of your life and allowing things to happen, and understanding that what is meant for you is never going to pass you by. So for surrender, I would just really recommend just not, needing to analyze or figure out, the path. Just trusting that the path is the path, and that the path will unfold itself and will reveal itself as you go, and trusting that when you're being led somewhere, it is for a reason. Okay, and that's your highest self, that's your intuition, that's your soul calling you. So surrender may not feel like it's easy, but when you actually let go, it is easy, because on the other side of surrender is everything that you want. It's all your dreams unfolding. It's everything figured out for you. It's the abundance that you're calling into your life. So I just encourage you all just to try to let go and lean into surrender and not needing to control things on the way there. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe. Please like this video if it resonated.